Hi everyone, this is GPAL here. I'm currently on vacation, so I wasn't able to organize our normal Sunday 2:30 p.m. EST class this week. Instead of that, I'm going to put up a video. We're going to be resuming back with our regular pace of classes come this Sunday. So this Sunday at 2:30 p.m. EST, we're going to continue with our SQL class once again. But today I just wanted to quickly run through how you should approach the quiz questions. So for those who haven't received the link to the SQL quiz, you can find it in the YouTube description section. So what I'm going to do is mainly run through the 6 questions and figure out what's the best way we can approach them. So let's dive right into it. So this is the database that we're going to be querying for this quiz. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the database. So this is a database that contains 2,000 rows, and it lists the Fortune 2,000 companies, the top 2,000 companies in terms of revenue, sales, etc. So we find that we can see the name of the companies, the country that it's based in, the profit, the position relative to other companies, where its headquarters are, its revenue, market value, name of industry, and so on. So this is we just want to get a sense of what the table uh, presents, what kind of information is within the table. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first question. The first question is, how many firms in the Forbes 2000 list are headquartered in New York itself? So the way that we can figure that out is to say select. We want to get the count, so we put count from, and we key in the name of the table, which is in this case Forbes Global underscore 2000 underscore 2018, where, because we want to find the firms that are headquartered within New York itself, we would key in the column name state equal New York. All right, let's run that query. And the answer that we get is 68. Now, I just want to show you something interesting here. So right now, the name of the column, the results column is count. We can actually change that. And the way that you change the name of the column, just because you want to get, let's say you want the output to look presentable. So you can put it as, and then we can say New York. When you do this, what you find is that the name of the column changes, so it looks a little neater. But the answer to the first question is 68. So let's click 68. Great. Now the second question is, how many firms in the Forbes 2000 list belong to either the airline or the electronics industry? So this is somewhat similar to the first question in the sense that we need to use the count keyword. But what's interesting here is that we need to sum up the number of firms that belong to 2 different industries. So the way that we go about doing that is to say select count from, and we say the name, we key in the name of the table, which is Forbes Global 2018, and we need to specify the specific industries here. So we would key in where industry equal, we want either the airline or the electronics industry. So we would key in airline or industry equal electronics. Right, let's run that. And the answer that we get is 55. I just want to highlight something here. When we specify the logical conditions to be tested here, for example, the word airline here, it's case sensitive. So imagine instead of putting this, I were to type everything in caps here. Uh, it's only going to show me 31, meaning it's not pulling the airline information. So when you use where, the logical condition that you specify is case sensitive, but that's not the case for other SQL keywords though. Instead of select in all caps, I could write this as well and it works perfectly fine. But in this case, data.world automatically just shifts it to all caps. But nonetheless, the answer is 55 to the second question. So let's go ahead, let's put in 55. The third question is, which company in the Forbes 2000 list posts the highest profit? Okay, so what we need to do here is that we need to order the list by profit, and by that way we can figure out what's the firm that has the highest profit. So let's go ahead and do that. So we key in the word select, and we want to know the name of the company, right? So the column name is name, so we just put it name. And let's say we also want to know uh, the profits here. So profits, and then it's from this table, key in the table name, and we want to order it by profit. So we key in the word order by profits. And by default in SQL, when you use the keyword order by, it's going to be in ascending order. And ascending order means it's going to start with the smallest value and then it's going to go on to the largest value. But in this case, we want to identify the firm that is most profitable. So if that's the case, we want the top entry to be the company with the highest profit. So we would use the keyword DESC for descending. And let's run the query. We find that Apple is the most profitable company, followed by British America, Tobacco, ICBC, etc., etc. But this is the answer, Apple. So we key Apple. Great. So the fourth question is, companies from how many unique countries are represented in the database? That's the fourth question. This is somewhat similar to the first question in a sense that we're going to use the keyword count, but because we want to identify the number of unique countries, we need to use the keyword distinct as well. So let me show you what I mean here. So we want to know the number of distinct countries, right? So we key select count distinct country from, key in the name of the table, and we run the query. We get 62, right? So 62 is the answer, but let's just see what happens when we take away the word distinct. It's going to throw us a much larger value. It's going to show you 2000, right? So what happens here is that without the keyword distinct, there are lots of duplicated results. For example, you could have multiple Chinas, multiple Brazils, and so on. So having the keyword distinct takes away all those duplicated results. The answer to the fourth question is 62. All right. So the fifth question is, which electronics firm in the Forbes 2000 list posts the highest profit? So in this case, what we need to do is we need to filter out the companies that belong to the electronics industry, and then we need to order by profit. So this is kind of combining the skills that we applied in the second question and the third question. So it's putting those skills together. So let's try this out. So we want to find the most profitable electronics company, right? So we would put in select We want to get the name of the company, so we key in the column name. And let's say we also want to know the profits, and then we key in the name of the table. And because we want to limit this to just pure electronics firms, we would specify that they need to be from the electronics industry. So where industry equal electronics. And we want to know the most profitable electronics firm. So we would use the keyword order by profits. And remember, order by default returns results in an ascending order. But in this case, we want to know the most profitable electronics firm. So we would also insert the keyword DESC. Take a look. And what we find is that Han Hai Precision is the most profitable electronics firm. So let's go back into the quiz and let's key that in. All right. The last question is a little tricky. So the last question asks as Forbes 2000 companies from which industry in the United States post the highest average value. So all this while, for the last 5 questions, we have been looking at individual rows, but in this case, we want to look at which industry, companies from which industry post the highest average revenue. So we can't just be looking at individual rows, we need to start grouping them together. So this is where we would be using the keyword group by. So let me show you how we can answer this question. So what we want to do is, let me show you the table first of all. Let's just back up a second. Let's look at the whole table. So when you look at the industries section, let's see, where is it? So you find that there are a variety of industries, conglomerates, major banks, iron and steel. So what we want to know is, on average, for the conglomerates industry, what's the average revenue? For major banks, what's the average revenue? For iron and steel, what's the average revenue? So we need to group all these rows by their industry and then calculate the average revenue. So the way that we go about doing that is to say, select, and we want to know the industry. So we key in the word industry. And we want to know the average revenue. So we key in AVG revenue. And this is going to be from this table itself. So we key in the name of the table. And in the question, I specified that we're just going to confine the analysis to the United States. We're going to confine the analysis just to the United States alone. So what we need to do is we need to specify where country equal United States. And this is where I'm going to group by industry, right? So we use the word group by industry. And remember, we want to know the industry which posts the highest average profit. So we use the keyword order by, and we want to arrange it by average revenue, right? So we key in AVG revenue, and we want the highest values on top. So we add in the word DESC. And let's run the query. And what we find is discount stores, companies that belong to the discount stores within the United States post the highest average revenue, followed by drug retail, auto and truck manufacturers, and so on. So the answer to this question is discount stores. put that in. Let's submit. All right, excellent. And we got all the answers right, of course. So next week, so past week, we covered how we can query from one single table. Next week, we're going to be looking at how we can query multiple tables, so you'll be able to join information from multiple tables and make sense of that. So that's going to be the focus for the next week. But if you do have any questions, the go-to place is our Discord server app. The link is going to be down there in the description section as well. Go ahead, post your questions. I'm going to be there. There are others who are going to be there as well who can help you out. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post it in our Discord server app. That is it. Thank you, guys.